Hey guys, and welcome to Crush Your Convo, where we're crushing the conversation one episode at a time. Tonight, we got a huge homage to our favorite characters from Star Trek in Fissure Quest. And today, I have a special guest who reached out to me to talk Lower Decks before it ended. We have Eric today. Hello, Eric. How are you?
Not bad. And yourself?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I was telling you before we started, I've had a long week and a lot of editing, but we did it. I made it. So.
Okay.
I have a quick question. So what is your history with Star Trek? Did you grow up with it? Are you new to the franchise? Like what's your Trek story?
So basically, honestly, Trek has kind of been intermittent in my life. I watched one episode, a Data episode when I was like 6 or 7. I liked it well enough, but then like I mostly became a comic book superhero kid. And then it wasn't until, oddly enough, Star Trek Nemesis, even though I know it's not really well received by fans, but I liked it well enough that it actually got me back into the franchise. And slowly from there, I just started rewatching everything I could from TNG and Voyager and TOS, and just slowly became a super fan from then on. And now pretty much I've got tons of novels, and I dig deep into whatever I can from podcasts and whatnot. Yeah.
Awesome. So how did you find Crush Your Convo? You were searching Beverly and I popped up, or
Well, oddly enough, yeah. So I joined Threads and just was browsing around and noticed you, and then I was like, oh, hey, this is a podcast I haven't heard of. Decided to check it out, and I pretty much caught myself up on the current season of Lower Decks of your reviews.
Awesome. Perfect. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Maybe agreed, disagreed a little.
Oh, I definitely enjoyed it. It's kind of akin to like Strange New Pods in the sense, it's fun, casual, and insightful all at the same time.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I tried to do, just having a chat, just kind of, talking about why we love the show and why we love Trek. So we have Chuck in the chat today saying hello and everyone. And he says, hello, Eric.
Hi, Chuck.
I check Instagram real fast. We have Leslie that just joined us. So hi, Leslie. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in and we'll start talking about this episode with this clip.
Thanks for the save. I thought I was a goner.
What a surprise. Another Harry Kim.
What do you mean, another?
Most of the crew are Harry Kims.
Oh, who's this handsome guy? Hey, Harry. The Kim crew is thriving. High five, baby.
I'm so sick of the multiverse.
Kim.
So I have to ask, when you saw Harry pop in, and not only Harry, we got T'Pol, we got Garrick, we got Fissure, and we got Lily. That was a shocker.
Curzon.
Yes, and Curzon. And the thing is, I'm just like, wow, they went all out with this episode. So how did you feel when you saw that they had all these different characters from different, or different shows just pop in?
So like I was quite surprised. I mean, honestly, I kind of expected T'Pol was going to appear, but I knew that was kind of up in the air because Mike McMahon had mentioned in interviews like he was hoping to get someone from Enterprise, but it was in talks, so there was no guarantees he would be able to get her because she pretty much retired from acting and was happy with her own life. So I was quite surprised and pleased he was able to get her. But I was even more surprised that like it didn't stop there. Of course, the Kims, which we kind of knew from the trailers and teasers. But I was much surprised by Garrick and Bashir and Lily Sloan. That was I think partly the just cherry on top of surprises. Because I mean, I thought the surprises were ending after the ship
Mhm.
crew. I didn't think it'd be another one on top of it. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. When Lily came out and she was like, "Oh
Mm,
my gosh, it's Lily Sloan." I was like,
yeah.
"That's what's her name?" It was Alfre Woodward, and I was like, "That can't
Yes.
be
Hmm.
her. That can't
Yeah.
be her. It's been 30 plus years. Like no way." And I looked it up and I
Mm,
was like,
yeah.
"That son of a gun. She came and did it." And not only her, but
Hmm.
Jolene.
Hmm.
Like you said, she retired and she
Yeah.
came back just to reprise this role. We're so blessed to have these actors.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I
And it was so
mean,
blessed, like Mike went all this way, like went through all this way to like get all these people, and just awesome.
and I think not only does he do it for us as as the fans, but he does it for himself. He's a fan
Oh
too,
yeah.
right? He was like,
Yeah.
I got a
Hmm.
list, I'm gonna go down and we'll figure it out. Um Now the episode did start out though with our normal crew in their 10-4, their cafeteria. And Rutherford, I could speak
Mm,
today. Oculus was malfunctioning.
mm,
And I was thinking that maybe it's because in that moment, the alternating of the quantum realities was happening with William Boimler and everything, and that's why it was malfunctioning because this
mm,
is where they were headed towards.
mm.
But especially because it was doing like it was shooting out plasma, and they're like, it's not
Oh
supposed to
yeah.
do that,
Yeah, exactly. Mm,
almost burned our
mhm,
Boimler to death.
mm,
So I thought that was a nice little tease without really,
mhm,
'cause I didn't expect that
mhm.
ending. Did you get a sense in the beginning that maybe something was happening in this moment?
No, I just thought maybe it was just some kind of weird malfunction, as he like mentioned. He was trying to sync in with the Cerrito systems, I believe,
Mhm.
and I just thought maybe it was just some kind of weird feedback loop or something like that. I wouldn't think it was because of possibly of the Boimler clone. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I actually was kinda happy to see Will Boimler,
Mm-hmm.
and honestly, I feel like it was a different side of him.
Mm-hmm.
You could kinda see him defeated a little, like he's just tired, he's doing
Mm-hmm.
all of this stuff for Section 31, and he's just like, "I'm really done with mul" like, he was like, "I hate
Yeah.
multiverse," right? He was
Mm-hmm.
just like,
Yeah.
"I'm done." Were you happy to see him? Were you thinking that something bad might happen? Because he wasn't that great of a guy back in
Yeah.
the other episodes.
Uh, it kind of makes sense how he ended up where he ended up, because obviously this version, this clone or Boimler, like was more career minded, or prestige minded, or whatever it was exactly, and just
Mhm.
kind of got himself stuck because he doesn't have what Brad does, which is his connection with friends and more balance between what he wants and actually needs to have a meaningful life. And but I was kind of expecting William to have like some kind of weird like conspiracy type, black ops type thing. So I didn't suspect he'd be involved in multiverse shenanigans. Yeah.
Right. And that's perfect that you said that because you kind of see that when the alternate Mariner shows up and she's
Mm-hmm.
kind of more of our Boimler, right? Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
chill, I don't want danger, I want to just do my, engineering. And he was so excited to see her. And then I felt
Yeah.
bad because I was like, he didn't have his other half. He didn't have, he
Mm-hmm.
like Brad had said in the beginning, he was like, I it was me. I was duplicate. We were split. Like there was nothing. We weren't a clone. It was me split in half. And so William Boimler was missing having his friends and stuff like that. And he looked so happy, especially after
Mm-hmm.
all the Harry Kims that he had. He was like, finally a change. Chuck and Chucks is the ensign of Kim Mand. So I mean, yeah, it's definitely one of those things where you kind of start to see, well, he was trying to find his place, kind of like what Thomas Riker had the
Mm-hmm.
same problem. He was trying to find his place. He was
Oh
trying to find
yes.
his place in the world, as William Riker was a commander in the Enterprise and all that stuff. And so William Boimler was having the same problems. So I liked that they brought that together in that full circle because we just thought that he was like, oh, he's just the bad half. But
Mm.
this Boimler is basically the alternate Boimler that Bradward is trying to be.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So he technically is that alternate Boimler that he saw, but it's in William.
Mhm.
So I don't know what's going to happen in the final episode of how that's going to come together, because I've been talking about, what is that red pad going to do? What's going to happen? Like, something's going to happen in this whole thing. And, William, I think, is going to play a part in that. What did you think about, we got Bashir and Garrick as a married couple? Everyone has been shipping these two since the beginning of time, and Mike did it. I laughed so hard. I was like, he did it. He made these fans, the ones that shipped him, like, yes, we got vindicated. What did you think about that?
So I'm a little slow on the DS9 boat, so I'm still like working my way through that series. So like when everybody was obviously aware like that that Garrick and Bashir were playing as they're interested in each other, I was completely clueless. I thought they were just really close friends. So
Right.
it wasn't until like much later I became aware, and so but it made me kind of happy and sad in a sense, like they couldn't do it in the series itself, but like happy that they at least alternate versions of themselves found love. And it's sweet that like Garrick also became a doctor rather than just a full-on obsidian order type dude, and
Right.
Bashir got to have his EMH developed.
Yes, exactly. I don't know. I just loved it. I just thought it was funny, and I just thought it was great that Mike was able to put that together. He's like, okay, they didn't do it in our universe, so I'm going to do it somewhere else. Let me see here. Mariner, the alt Mariner I mentioned as engineering, and again, like I said, I felt like they were kind of doing polar opposites to how our Mariner and Brad is, and between Will and this Mariner. How did you feel like they connected? Even though this was, because she was saying her Boimler is kind of like our Mariner, like, oh, he's into danger and he wears this leather jacket, but we've gotten used to it, and he's just doing his own thing, still an ensign. So I found that funny, because I was like, oh, she's mentioning our Mariner, right?
Yeah.
But what did you think of her being this, totally different, like, to the books, doing my job, figuring things out, and, complaining about waiting in the bog planet?
Yeah, I think I kind of developed like a possible backstory, like of what kind of shaped her this way, and I imagine just like maybe in her universe, Sito didn't die, or maybe just had a scare and just made him more this Mariner more ops Mariner more cautious, and decided to become an engineer, where generally it's relatively safe, at least considering compared to something like ops or science, where you're more likely to be hit by some weird science or strange rays or energies. But I was also surprised by how fast Brad was so quick to hug her, even though it was like alternate Mariner, just without even like just any hesitation at all. And it's noticeable like how he reacts to her when they get down to the bog planet, and he's worried for her safety, puts an arm in front of her in case anything happens, and definitely shields her when the Quampians start appearing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even Lily had mentioned that he was, because he was all like, why are you not, why are you only looking to humans instead of, other species? And she's all like, because we do so many things. She's like, look, this is a totally different Mariner to yours, and yet you trust her. And that means your friendship goes across all universes. And I thought that was so cool that she mentioned that, because it's true. Mariner and Boimler have a very, very, very special relationship, and this shows. But I like what you say about how she's more cautious, because Sito probably did live, but it was a close call. And so that's why she went on a different path, which I think was what those first two alternate Mariner and Boimlers were trying to show them. Like, that Mariner was a dictator as a captain, and then the other one was too chill and awesome, So it was like making just one change in their life just put them on a different path. And this is a perfect example for that, for this Mariner. I like that. I like what you say there. Now, of course, this Lily is not our Lily. It's an alternate Lily. Instead of them doing warp drive, they did quantum rift drive. I think it was like, was it?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but she was wearing the Enterprise garb, and that's a good 100 years of difference.
Yeah.
I was kind of confused.
Mhm,
I'm in Enterprise right now, so I'm
mhm.
still learning, but at least I knew who DePaul was.
Yeah.
Um, so interesting enough how ours was the warp drive. They're doing the
Mhm,
quantum,
mhm,
rifts and things like that. And of course, she accidentally was causing trouble. Whoops.
mhm,
But again, so good to see that Alfred Woodward came
mm.
back as Lily. That was
Oh, yes,
awesome.
definitely.
That
Uh,
perfect.
my guess for the Enterprise uniforms is that possibly the Starfleet initiative or program started much quicker, possibly because um, maybe when he saw the quantum rift engine, when the Vulcans witnessed her use of it, maybe they just kind of jump started it as because it's quite a leap forward as opposed to warp, which is just basically fast travel, where the quantum rift engine is able to travel alternate universes. So I'm sure that kind of jump started things, and hence the being able to have jumpsuits rather than just the weird century fashion they had back then.
Yeah, I like that theory.
Mm.
Chuck says Andy Robinson is so cool to talk to in Star Trek Las Vegas. I haven't had the opportunity,
Mm.
but I would love to talk to him. And
Mm.
he says, he says, you broke your little ships.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
I wish he said something. I wish there was a perfect line that we saw in the movie in First Contact that she said
Mm.
here. That would have
Oh,
been
yeah.
really cool.
Mm.
Even that, like if they were talking about one of their little ships or something. In the Bog Planet, like I don't remember the actual names of these creatures, but they just look like axolotls to me.
Oh, yeah. I believe they're Quampians, and their planet is Quampa.
Quampa, okay,
Mhm.
because I know Curzon had said those salamanders, and I
Oh,
was
yeah.
all like, "Is it though?" I was like, um, so even they could be evil, just like we had evil
Mm.
whales in Prodigy.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm gonna get right into with the whole Ensign Kim thing. So they have a whole ship of Kims from different from different realities. They're all ensigns. They're all pretty cool dudes doing their thing. Then they
Mm.
get a two pip Kim,
Mm.
and he kind of loses his mind. And I think that was what kind of threw me off a little bit because he kind of lost it pretty quick. Like it
Mhm.
was
Yeah, I think personally, I could have used a little bit more setup, but I think just the general idea of is maybe he's a little too maybe he's like insecure, or at least like worried, too obsessed with like trying to make his mark on things, and just
Mhm,
seeing those other Kims, I think probably just snapped something in him, like where they were kind of stuck at a lower position, thinking they should have been they had potential but just weren't recognized or promoted fast enough. Where he
right.
thinks some kind, I'm thinking some kind of like comparison thing.
Well, I mean, that's actually a good point because maybe it sparked something in him.
Mm,
Like, it brought back a bad memory for him, like,
mm,
it took him a long time to get those 2 pips, and
yeah.
to think he's like, in other realities, it's also harder, and it just made
Mm,
him snap. But, yeah, if I just had a little bit more context, I know they were trying to get all this stuff in, and I think the flow
mm.
was very good. I think the
Oh,
flow
yeah.
was great. I did have an issue with the last episode when they were talking about
Mm.
the upper deckers, right?
Oh, yeah. Mm,
And everything was to me, it was just kind of thrown together, mashed together, boom, 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 walked out the
mm,
door, right? This one
mm,
had a little bit more of a better, like I could follow the story and I knew what was happening without
mm,
too much context behind it. But I think the whole, Ensign Kim thing was just not only a good plot, he kind of reminded me of Nick Locarno, how he had
mhm,
lost his
yeah.
mind, right?
Mhm,
That's the feeling that I got. But, but it also was the whole joke of he never got promoted.
yeah, yeah.
So it was a
Mm,
nice little, you know, putting it together in
mm,
different ways. Um, and so gonna go into Paul in this point. So, like I said, we got Jolene Black, and
mm,
she, like you said, she's been retired. didn't, when I heard her voice, because like I said, I'm watching Enterprise, I was like, that's her. That's got to be her. There's no way. And it was so nice to see. But this one was married to Trip
Yeah.
Tucker.
Mhm.
That her trip did not die like ours did. They got, I think they said 63 years, and so she knows, human emotions, and
Oh,
of
yeah.
course she has this relationship or this friendship with Curzon Dax, who has not passed on his symbiont yet, and of course. Today I had heard Trek Movie. I don't know if you've listened to their podcast, but Trek Movie had mentioned that this might be a way to bring Jadzia back.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be interesting because I
we
know she
lost
had a,
ours.
yeah.
We lost our, spoiler alert, sorry, but she died.
Where's-
And
yeah.
it was horrible and it was dumb. And, even
Yeah.
Carrie, who played her, is just still like devastated that her character got killed off. She would love to come back. I feel like this could be a way to do it. Like, I like that mindset that an alternate version of her might be able to come back. Would you, is there any character that you would like to have seen come back in any way besides the ones that they have already shown?
Oh,
My
gosh,
answer. It's not gonna happen, but my answer.
Yeah, that's kind of a shame. Like, but here's hoping someday, whenever there's a Lower Decks revival or movie, that she pops in there as a vital part of the story. Not off the top of my head that I can think of right now, but I mean, honestly, like, I just like the way Mike is really, he really what's the word? He subverts expectations. Like, when I think after consuming so much media, I can kind of tell where things are going to go more or less with a lot of different media. But Mike, he always manages to surprise me, like at least a good percentage of time. And I mean, like, just choosing this crew of the Aximander, I didn't expect a lot of these characters, but off the top of my head, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Will Wheaton, the Traveler. Just more of him. I think he would mix well with this group and just lead to more hijinks and fun.
Yeah.
How
I mean,
about
we
yourself?
got well, besides Beverly.
Yeah, of course.
Besides
Tap
her,
dancing. You need to tap dance.
I know, right? I think I would. It's never gonna happen. But then he got Jolene back, so who knows? I would love to see Cisco. I would love to see
Oh,
Avery Brooks.
yes, yeah.
I would think that would be fantastic. Now he also, I guess, retired, dropped off, like, I don't know where he is. I
Yeah.
haven't seen him.
Well, I
And
hear he's also a bit eccentric too. So, like, he might be just not interested in, just performing for anymore.
probably, yeah. And that you mentioned Will, like, we did get Ensign Will, or Ensign
Yeah, oh,
Wesley
yes.
in last season, and then we got Traveler Wesley in Prodigy. But it's true because Lower Decks is so different. It would be interesting to see, like, what had happened with Prodigy and what's going on, because I think Prodigy happened after this. So I think Lower Decks is 2382 and Prodigy was 2385. So we'll see Wesley in 3 years. But maybe he might be seeing something's going on because of these whole quantum realities. So maybe we might get a crusher. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I had an interview. I don't know if you saw it, but I had an interview with Mike McMahon. And I had mentioned that I was all like, I really wish we had Beverly Crusher. He's like, me too. And he's like, and so did Gates. Gates really wanted to be written in, but he's like, but we got canceled.
Yeah.
And he's all like, it sucks, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. And I was like, gosh dang it. But it would have been so great to see her in this part of her life, because in Prodigy they showed her have toddler Jack, and in this point she would have baby Jack, and it would be like really interesting if, like, Mariner had found her or something and kept her secret, right? Because she knew who she was, because she was friends with Wesley in the academy. So I was hoping. I was hoping, but unfortunately. Chuck says Garrett Wang did such a great job on all these voiceovers, which is true. He had to play very different Kims
Yes.
on all these different realities, include, and they did an interview in Trek movie, and he said that in the script it was 2 Pip Kim, like that was his name in the script, so he knew how to do it. Chuck says also Jake Sisko. He thinks that Jake Sisko would be really cool to have.
Oh yeah, that'd be a
on
good choice.
Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Sirach, he would totally do it. He would totally do it.
Well, I mean, Mariner was stationed on DS9, right? So I mean, I wish there would be some like flashback adventures to young Mariner
Yeah.
hanging out on the promenade of Jake and whoever.
And who else going on? Yeah, because we
Yeah.
had who did we have? We had Quark, right?
Mhm.
And then we
Oh yes.
had
Oh,
Kira.
Kira. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and yeah, because Shax knew Kira. So yeah, that was a good
Mhm.
episode. So like I was saying about T'Pol and Dax's friendship, and instead of passing on the Dax symbiont, T'Pol took the memories. And so
Mhm.
I'm wondering if, because these Trill can live normal lives without a symbiont, but maybe maybe might be a different Jadzia without the symbiont,
Mhm.
but her memories, like doing a mind
Oh
meld.
yeah. Hmm.
I don't know. But I think she got the memories while they were going through that rift, because didn't something happen and she was like, that was a lot. She was kind of like,
Yeah, I think she was just overwhelmed because obviously the symbiont has led several lives, or it has collected several lives, how it works. And I can
yeah,
imagine that's overwhelming, even for a Vulcan.
yeah, that's very true.
Mm.
Chuck says a Morn cameo. He won't stop talking. Wasn't he in that episode of DS9? Wasn't he sitting at the bar and he was chatting it up like crazy?
I believe so.
Yeah. So of
Mm.
course there's a lot of techno babble.
Mm.
Yeah, but there's a lot of techno babble going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And of course they figure out that one reality, either they will be destroyed to save all of them, or they'll be able to save everybody. And Will is like, well, I'll send it to mine because I trust my people.
Mm.
And I loved the ending when Brad gets the thing and he's like, we're all gonna die. And he starts screaming and you hear cry. And I went, oh, I cannot wait for the next episode.
Mm.
What in your mind, because the next episode is going to be called
Mm.
the next generation.
Mm.
And I'm very sad about this,
Mm.
but just seeing this whole thing and all these different characters and all these different realities and seeing everything happening, personally, I can't even guess what's going to happen in the next episode.
Mm.
I'm clueless. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen, or what do you hope is going to happen in this next one?
As much as I love like all the various characters that they've introduced in this episode and the other side characters and the series, I hope it. I mean, I do want them to be showcased, but I hope there's a bigger focus on the Fab Five, because they kind of been neglected at least these past 2 episodes, and that's unfortunately the downside of a 10 episode count for each season, is like we just don't get enough. I mean, even when it showcases the characters, we still feel we want more and more. And I just hope there's a good showcase of all these characters before we have to say goodbye. Just, I definitely want more to Lynn. I'm just barely getting enough of her. Um, I, I just wanted to see them doing their, just being them being good friends. Because that's what really sold me on the show, even more so than anything. Just the found family aspect of the show.
Right.
But I definitely want to see more screaming from Boimler. Mariner being a chaos goblin, just pulling something out, just like maybe a tribble or something to help save the day.
Oh, if the
Yeah.
tribble of the day, I'm all in. I'm all in. Or maybe a Moopsie. Okay.
Oh, yes.
If Moopsie comes in, is like, I got this.
Oh, why hasn't somebody weaponized Moopsie? Moopsies and tribbles, they're you've got like a pretty strong army of those two alone. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because Curzon actually made that joke because it was I'm just going to call them axolotls because I can't remember their name, but he was like, it's better than drinking our bones. And I was like, there's Moopsie. But I mean, now because it's called the next generation, I have a gut feeling we're going to have more TNG
Mm,
people, right?
mm,
We had Riker and Troy before.
mm,
It would be nice to see them again. They were in
mm,
the first couple seasons. We never got Geordi.
mm,
I don't think we ever got Worf, and I would really, really hope that we would get to see these characters before
mm,
they end, and maybe a
mm.
Beverly Crusher, but
Yeah, of course.
cross the fingers.
Yeah.
But there is definitely, I feel like there's going to be a torch passing in this sense,
Mm,
and um, for Mike, and even they did this in Prodigy because they don't know if they're going to be renewed for a season 3. So the way they ended
mm,
it is like they could end it
mm,
and it's fine, but it could also continue. And I think that's what they might do, is that we'll get a good ending, but there's still room for more.
mm,
But I did really enjoy this episode. I again, I was listening to Trek movie, and because Lily's ship was called the Beagle.
yes. Mhm.
And I was even thinking, I was like, why is it called the Beagle? And so Tony said, he was like, do you think it's a reference to Archer's dog? Because he was a beagle.
Yeah.
And I was all like, oh, duh. Was it Porthos, the dog?
Mhm,
And I was like, that's probably it, because she was wearing
mm,
the uniform. This, like you said, it probably happened quicker than what we had because they were
mm.
doing something totally different. And I was all like, that's Porthos. Instead of an actual dog, it's the ship. Chuck said we needed a T'Pol and T'Lyn scene.
Oh, yes, yes. I would
We
definitely love to see that. Yeah.
I think I'm wondering if we're still going to see the characters in this next episode. Like, is T'Pol
Mm,
going to be in this next one? Are we going to see William? Are we going to see well, Curzon died,
mm,
unfortunately. Are we
yeah.
going to see the Kims and Garrett interview in Trek
Mm,
movie? He kind of hinted that he might be in
mm.
this final episode. I'm just saying. He refused to answer the question, but to me, that's a yes. But I'm gonna look at Instagram real fast. So we also have JB Tails and Tails also joined. So hello. But yeah, I think I loved seeing Lily with Mariner. I would love to see T'Pol and T'Lyn.
Mhm,
Uh, Definitely need to have more of the upper deckers. So, Tiana and Shax and Freeman and Ransom, Billups, definitely
mm,
they're all going to have to come together to really stop these rifts and,
mm.
save the universe. And I find it funny because this is only happening, 3 years before Prodigy, and they also
Yeah.
had to stop the universe. So I was like, is Wesley going to pop in? And he's all like,
Mhm.
again, guy? Like, he's like, I got
Mm,
this. As long as it's not the Borg.
yeah.
You
Well,
know,
you've heard, I believe, I could be wrong, but like I believe I heard when they first introduced Wesley, he's kind of a bit spacey, and like all of a sudden he'll pop out of the scene and then pop back in, and supposedly he possibly had an adventure in between talking to them. And what if this lower decks lower decks episode is possibly one of the adventures he went on if he were to pop in? Yeah.
I believe it. 2, I would
Mm.
love it. Because he was even saying, didn't he say something in Prodigy where he was all like, oh, right, we haven't met yet, And then he was all like,
Mm,
linear time, it's a trip,
mhm.
because
Yeah.
he just he's like the Doctor. That's why I loved it.
Mm,
He was just going
yeah.
back and forth in different timelines in his own mind, and he was doing stuff. But I think this last episode is going to be, I can't believe it's over. I
Oh
remember
yeah.
when I started this and I was going to do the react and reviews, I was like, all right,
Mhm.
10 weeks, I got well, 9 weeks, but I was all like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this is
Mm,
fine. And
yeah.
now I'm here, we're done. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
so sucks. I don't like
Mm.
it.
Yeah, I know
I don't like
it's been kind of hard. Like I even feel a bit guilty because knowing it's the last season, hopefully until revival or something. But like I've been enjoying it, but also been judging harshly because just because I'm frustrated that this is the last season, we're not getting enough. We're not getting more, at least for now. It just
Yeah.
it's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a couple, like I said, the last episode I wasn't too fond of. Gods
Mm,
and Angles, I
yeah.
wasn't a huge fan of. I
Mm,
liked the Boimler and Tiana
mm,
stuff more than I can't remember her name, but the granddaughter of Zeus.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I definitely have a little bit more, and I understood, like,
Mm,
I knew that in the beginning they didn't know they were canceled, right?
yeah.
So that's why these episodes were just kind of slow and just going in.
Mm,
And then at the very end, like, I felt like Upper Decks was kind of just thrown in there because it's like, oh
mm,
shoot, we're ending. We got to do this real fast and then we'll get to the next episode.
yeah.
And so they're filler episodes, which is fine,
Yeah.
but it wasn't enough to grab me,
Mm,
had great moments. I don't think any Lower Decks episode is bad. Just there
yeah.
are some better than others. And Chuck said it's Ollie. Thank you, Chuck. Granddaughter of Zeus is
Mm,
Ollie.
yeah.
Yes, it is.
Well, and
Uh,
it hurts that these seasons also have a shorter episode count because like you think, well, at least I know animation isn't cheap and it isn't easy, but like wish we could at least like get 14 episodes or something, just a little bit extra. Yeah.
oh yeah. And we got that a little bit with Discovery. They
Mm-hmm.
had some 15 episode season,
Mm-hmm.
13, which was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And then you get Strange New Worlds, Prodigy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Prodigy was 20 per season,
Yeah.
so that was nice.
Mm-hmm.
But for Lower Decks, it's only 10. And yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
Picard, only
Mm-hmm.
10. I mean, I wouldn't have mind to see more Beverly Crusher in Picard,
Yeah.
but and yeah, there was even some stuff in Picard that I felt was rushed.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I think No One's Scenario is an amazing episode, I think it had really no place in the season because
Mm-hmm.
it was just like, yeah, they were getting out of the gravity well. That
Yeah.
was it. Like, that
Mm-hmm.
was all they were
Yeah.
doing. And I was like, we
Mm-hmm.
lost a whole episode that didn't really pertain fully to the
Mm-hmm.
story. I mean, that's just me.
Yeah. But I
Um,
understand because I'm kind of the same way. Like I like that season as a whole, but I felt there were some episodes where nothing really moved plot wise or character wise.
right, right. And Surrender, I was a little disappointed in Surrender because I thought that Jack was going to surrender himself to
Mm-hmm.
save everybody, and then those last two episodes were going to be them trying to get him back. And that didn't
Mm-hmm.
happen.
Yeah.
He ended up just leaving on his own, which I felt as much as I didn't know Jack the character very well,
Mm,
it was very uncharacteristic of him to just be like, "Oh, mom, I got this. Peace out." And I was like,
yeah.
no, Jack, she didn't raise you like that, Jack. Let's not go
Mm,
down that road." And so yeah, and I think again they were just kind of rushing it to get to the story. And I know the data and lore part was important. That was the
mm,
surrender, but it just didn't work well, in my opinion.
mm,
So but yeah, I mean, we're always gonna be, I guess, critical on certain
mm,
things because we've
yeah.
had good episodes and then we've seen like
Mm,
so it's easy to compare,
mm,
for sure. Um before I start wrapping this up, what has been your overall favorite of Lower Decks? So what is it about Lower Decks that you just love so much?
just the found family aspect, because, and especially in this episode, it's really strong because I mean, you've got Derek and Bashir, alternate reality versions of themselves fighting each other. You got T'Pol making a friendship with Curzon. You've got William Boimler of connecting with an alternate reality Mariner, letting his um, his shields down so he can actually be the person he was that before he
Mhm.
got sucked up into Section 31 and into the
Right.
Titan career track and all that. But yeah, just I mean, just everything about it. Just there's, I mean, to Linda, like the the nice, wholesome acceptance of her Vulcanness, not telling her to change or anything like that, accepting her as is, because she was pretty much rejected by her own people for being
Right.
too for not conforming to their norms.
Right.
I mean, and even got like Brad and Mariner, this like the most chaotic friendship, but yet they find a way to make it work. It's a yin and yang relationship where they kind of balance each other out. Where Mariner is a bit too chaotic for her own good, and Brad's a little bit too much of a people pleaser for his own good, or following the wrong goals, and they kind of help ground each other.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And
Mm,
like you said, we see that with William and this other
mm,
Mariner, right?
mm,
Because it flipped, but it's
mm,
still it still worked,
Yeah.
you know? And even those alternate versions that we saw in the very first episode, where it was the horrible dictator Mariner as the captain and then the chill one. Again, she was the dictator, he was the chill one, and yet it worked. And she was like, in the brig, I'll take over. Like, it just, no matter what reality that they're in, their friendship really stands the test of time.
Yeah.
And not only, Brad's and, Boimler and Mariner's friendship, but even Rutherford and Tendi. Rutherford had a really hard time when Tendi was back home. He was like just keeping himself busy so he didn't have to think about how sad he was. And then to Lynn being, trying to fit in because she's now new to this group, she's trying to help them in different ways, right? She tried to help Rutherford. She tried to help Tendi in that last episode with Data. And I think, like you said, that found family and even the relationship that Mariner has with her mom, being the captain and them finding common ground. It's definitely been really cool and just in a funny way. So it keeps you interested and it keeps you engaged. Right.
Oh, and just to add, there's like also the Shax, with him not just being security of the ship and stuff, but also looking over the people when he had that little get together where they're just trying to make Boimler just one of the gang and just kind of get him to chill out.
Yeah, exactly. And then even with Shax and Tiana's relationship, right? They're kind of yin and yang for sure. So as he's trying to meditate and chill out, and she's all over the place, and then they kind of balance each other. So, well, I'm going to go ahead and get into our tricorder rating.
My tricorder.
All right. So I got 17 votes and 82%. It was like, what was this? It was 14 votes.
Nice.
5 Beagles. Okay. 12% gave it 4 Harry Kims. I had 1 vote for 3 Symbionts. So someone was like, it was all right. But then gave it 1 or 2 Bog Planets. What would your rating be? 5
I voted 5 Beagles myself.
You did. Yeah. I'm kind of torn. I feel like it wasn't perfect, but it was so good.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that they were able to get Jolene and Alfre back, I 5. 5. Chuck, you tell me what your rating was. He actually said bold Boimler. That's which is true. Yeah. I mean, we definitely see a different side with Boimler when he's William. But yeah, it seems I saw so many people, especially those who had screeners. They were like, guys, you're going to love it. And so I was super excited to see it, and it did not disappoint. And now I'm very, very scared of what next week's going to happen. What's going to go down. Chuck said 5 Beagles. Yep. So all across the board, we got 5 Beagles going on. But yeah, it was such a good episode. And I'm just like you, just really sad to see it go.
Now, real quick, you mentioned you just maybe think the episode maybe just lacked a little bit of something. Is that right? Like if that was the case, like what could have helped you and just improved it a bit?
The last episode, Upper Decks.
I mean this episode.
This one.
Yeah.
I think as much as I loved how they had all the characters and stuff like that. Again, for you, like we didn't get to see our main people again. Like we haven't seen them in a couple episodes. That was a little downside for me. I think that them figuring out like, oh, the quantum fissure stuff is happening by accident. Oops. So it wasn't a bad person. Like that was kind of a little rushed for me. But and then the one Harry, the 2 Pip Kim being, like vengeance and
I can understand that was rushed.
Yeah, and so that was where I was like, I don't know, but everything else as a whole, it let those other little things kind of slide. Like I guess I'm being too critical with that stuff, but at least in this sense that, all the good things that you had mentioned, like their friendship and stuff like that, and how they're supposed to come together. It's a really good episode to set everything in motion that's going to happen in 10 in the final episode. And again, just having Alfre and Jolene back is Mike is a genius. And I even tweet I'm not on Twitter anymore, but I went on Blue Sky and I went on Threads and I was like, he is a bloody genius. I don't even know how he did it, and he must have begged. I don't know. Maybe he's just like, I'm a huge fan and I have this show. And because maybe his show is so good, they're like, oh, we love your show. Sure, we'll be on. Chuck said he agrees. Yes. Just about the Kim part, probably. But I am now going to go into my redhead alert. All right. Let me just take that off real fast. Okay. I did it, guys. I had an interview with Gates McFadden. I feel like I have come full circle with this moment. I hope everyone enjoys it as much as I enjoyed chatting with her. You can watch the interview right here on my YouTube channel. And don't forget to find her podcast, Investigates, Who Do You Think You Are? Wherever you love to listen to your podcasts. I was so excited. And I can't believe I actually got to sit down with her. I feel like I'm done. No more Crusher Convo. I'm just kidding. No, there will be more Crusher Convo. It's fine. I don't mean to scare anybody. But I'm now going to start talking about Trek Talk. So don't forget that Trek Talks is coming January 18th to benefit the Hollywood Food Coalition. They have amazing guests like Robert Picardo, Wilson Cruz, Nana Visitor, and many more so far. You can subscribe to their YouTube channel at Trek Talks Telethon and follow them on the socials at Trek_Talks. All their information can be found at trektalks.net. And of course, John Billingsley and Bonnie Gordon will be hosting. I'm super excited about that. I'm hoping to maybe get another interview with John and maybe Bonnie before Trek Talks happens, but gotta see if our schedules align. And here's my information. So please don't forget to like and subscribe on my YouTube channel if you haven't already. You can also listen to all the audio versions of Crusher Convo on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, or on your favorite podcast app. You can support the podcast by buying merch on TeePublic, buying me a coffee, or becoming a Patreon member for as low as $3 a month. My Patreon shoutouts go to Chuck, who's in the chat, at Engineer Mark. Thank you for your support. You could also find me on Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, like where Eric found me, or TikTok. And of course, all this information can be found at crusherconvo.com. All right. So the final episode of Lower Decks is next week and is called The Next Generation. I'm so sad to see this end, and I have loved every minute of it. You can find me here next Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time as I have Marcy from Green Shirt and Idle Ride Podcast to help me close my season 2 and to finish Lower Decks. So, Eric, thank you for joining me. Please tell all of my listeners where they can find you.
Right now, I don't have a channel, but I hope to have one up someday. And but yeah, just thank you for having me, Jesse. And I hope everybody lives long and prosper.
Awesome. Perfect. And Chuck said that great interview. Thank you for watching, Chuck. I hope you liked it. And he says, bye, Jesse and Eric. And thank you to Leslie and JB over on Instagram. I appreciate you guys. But yeah, just like Eric said, and I'm going to find it. It's going to be on here in 2 seconds. There it is. Live long and prosper. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Crusher out.